What's up, Vault Dwellers? Dan here, and you know what time it is, don't you? It's spooky season, baby. The one time of the year when it's socially acceptable to stay up till 3 a.m., eating fun-sized candy bars, and watching movies that smell faintly of mildew and some popcorn butter. And tonight, we're going to be cracking open the sarcophagus to talk about some mummies. All right, let's be honest. The mummy has always been the slow poke of the monster world, but there's something weirdly hypnotic about those dusty bandages and that eternal curse. And over the decades, filmmakers have found some increasingly strange ways to keep the mummy shambling along, from gothic classics to drive-in disasters, and yes, even Bruce Campbell in a nursing home. So grab your torch, avoid the hieroglyphs, and let's unwrap 13 insane mummy movies that prove death, it's just the beginning.
Now I will talk to the Wolfman and the Mummy.
As you wish, Master.
He wants us. What do you suppose for? Did you do something to get us into trouble again?
All right, let's get started with our faithful Ed Wood, who decided to drag a mummy into a nudie cutie. Orgy of the Dead, it isn't really a mummy movie, but it does feature one wandering around between topless graveyard dance numbers. And for this channel, that's enough. The plot, all right, if you can call it a plot, it involves a couple who stumble into a cemetery where the undead put on a risque floor show. I mean, we're talking vampires, werewolves, skeletons, and yes, even a mummy take part in the graveyard cabaret. It's absurd and sleazy, and just absolutely, hypnotic in the way that only Ed Wood could do. Criswell opens the film with his trademark rambling monologue, and from there on, it's just basically 90 minutes of striptease with Halloween decorations. I mean, the money itself doesn't do much more than shuffle around, but his presence adds to the surreal craziness of the atmosphere. It ain't scary, but if you want cult kitsch, this is the kind of oddity that defines grindhouse cinema.
It would seem that the Wolfman would have you for his own. I have promised both the Wolfman and the Mummy a reward. It could be that you are that reward.
All right, if you've never actually heard of Bruno Mattei, let me try and sum him up for you. He's essentially Italy's king of the ripoffs. Zombies? Yeah, he made one of those. Sharks? He made one of those. And of course, he made a mummy movie. The Tomb is his most shameless. He borrows plots from Hammer, Universal, and Indiana Jones and just blends them into a film that feels like it was shot on leftover Gladiator sets. The Mummy itself is less a scary monster and more of like a stuntman in Spirit Halloween wraps. But the real fun is just how completely unhinged this movie feels. You've got random characters that wander in and out. The curse, it just comes and goes whenever the plot needs it. And the effects, they look like they were borrowed from a high school play. But yet, it is wildly entertaining. If you love Mattei's brand of exploitation chaos, this is him wrapping up, literally, another genre with some duct tape and a little bit of hope.
You unscrupulous pig!
Now, this film is what we fondly call a drive-in madness masterpiece. Mexico cranked out several Aztec mummy films in the 50s, and this one kind of takes the cake. As the title promises, it's exactly what it sounds like. You've got an ancient Aztec mummy who's guarding his treasure, and then a mad scientist, he builds a robot to fight him. And fight they do. Although fight, maybe that's a bit generous. It's more like two drunks at a Halloween party, kind of just like bumping into each other. The charm here, it's not the thrills. It's just the sheer lunacy of it all. The mummy is actually kind of spooky. He's got this skeletal face and ragged bandages. But the robot, try and imagine a refrigerator with arms, and you're probably halfway there. The pacing is super glacial, and it's the kind of movie that makes you shout, "I just can't believe someone made this," which is exactly why we're talking about it on this channel.
Oh, this is great, Doctor! The greatest invention!
Security officer, please, 133 West. From a security officer.
This film is what happens when a college archaeology dig finds something they probably shouldn't have. Time Walker sets up like a classic mummy flick, but it has this twist to it, right? This wrapped corpse, it's actually an alien who crash landed in King Tut's tomb. Yeah, the bandages hide an intergalactic visitor, and when he wakes up, he's less cursed of the pharaohs and more like E.T. on a very bad day. This is just pure 80s drive-in cheese. Low budget effects, Halloween store cobwebs, and a cast of students who should have stayed home cramming for the finals. The alien mummy concept, it's as wild as it sounds. And while the movie isn't exactly scary, it does have that VHS-era charm. Think like The Thing meets The Mummy, only made by people who maybe rented a fog machine for the weekend. By the mid-50s, Universal monsters were less terrifying and just more like comedy sidekicks. And nobody noked it better than Abbott and Costello. This was actually the duo's last monster mash, and while it's more laughs than scares, it does have a shambling charm all on its own. The story is simple. Bud and Lou get tangled up with an Egyptian cult, and then there's this medallion pointing to treasure, and, of course, a mummy who couldn't shuffle faster if you gave him roller skates. Costello's wide-eyed reactions, they sell every gag. While Abbott plays the eternal straight man, baffled and just annoyed as chaos swirls around him obliviously. Critics, they may not have loved it, but audiences, they sure did. Like me, which watched this stuff all the time. This was like my introduction to Universal monsters when I was a kid. It's corny, and it's exactly the kind of Halloween comfort food that you throw on when you want giggles with your gauze. This one, it's infamous. It's one of those banned nasties from the UK. It was shot in Egypt on a shoestring budget, and Dawn of the Mummy starts like this fashion shoot just gone horribly wrong and ends up as a full-blown zombie gore movie. The plot: there's a pharaoh who's resurrected, and suddenly his tomb, it's just crawling with flesh-eating ghouls. That's right, it's half mummy flick, half zombie gore fest. The effects, they're pretty rough, but surprisingly very gnarly. Bodies just get ripped apart, there's flesh eating going on, and the mummy himself lumbers through it like the worst host of America's Next Top Model. Critics thrashed it, but VHS collectors have given this cult status for its shameless gore and just weird genre mashup. It ain't art, but it's one of the few mummy films that leans into gut-chomping chaos. If you ever wonder what would happen if George Romero shot in Cairo with a quarter of the budget, this here, it's your answer. The 90s were kind of a wild time for straight-to-video horror. And Legend of the Mummy, we're going to call this one Exhibit A. Loosely, and I do mean loosely, this was based on Bram Stoker's The Jewel of Seven Stars, and it follows a group of scholars who unleash a mummy queen's spirit. So let's cue some possessions, some dream sequences, and just a whole lot of melodrama. You know what's fun here? It's how serious this movie takes itself. I mean, the acting is as stiff as a mummy itself. The effects are super rubbery, but the movie acts like it was trying to deliver Shakespeare. I mean, it ends up being more camp than creepy, which is why it's perfect for cult fans. By the late 90s, Universal was gearing up for the Mummy 1999 version, so this feels like its low-budget cousin. You know, the one shot in Canada while Brendan Fraser was getting all the studio money. It's clunky, and it's weirdly sincere. And this is just a perfect VHS-era time capsule.
Big bitch cockroach like you should know. Never fuck with the king.
Man, I remember seeing this thing in the movie theater like it was yesterday. And if you've never seen Bruce Campbell fight a mummy in a nursing home, you need to stop what you're doing right now and fix that. Bubba Ho-Tep is just cult royalty. It's a horror comedy where Campbell, he plays Elvis Presley, who's still alive, but forgotten in a Texas rest home.
Under the bridge. I saw him under the bridge. It's an ambush. Tonto, my boots, Tonto.
That's my friend, Kimosabe. We used to play cards together.
My boots.
Now, he doesn't even know who I am.
And then an ancient mummy starts sucking souls from the elderly, and Elvis and a man who claims to be JFK, played brilliantly by Ossie Davis, step up to stop it. This movie's absurd, it's hilarious, and it is just oddly heartfelt. Campbell delivers easily one of his best performances ever, and he's just balancing sarcasm with regret and trying to have some dignity in a story that's both monster movie and meditation on aging. The Mummy's not traditional, it's more cowboy ghoul than bandaged monster, but it's creepy enough to do the work. Fans absolutely love it because it takes this ridiculous premise and just finds some surprising depth in the story. There are few cult films this funny, this moving, and this original.
It's gonna be one hell of a barbecue.
Let's do it, amigo.
Hammer decided to ditch the gauze for this one, and they decided to adapt Bram Stoker's The Jewel of the Seven Stars again, and instead of a lumbering corpse, we get Valerie Leon as both the innocent heroine and the reincarnated Egyptian queen possessing her. The result is part gothic horror and part psychedelic nightmare. The production was actually cursed. Director Seth Holt, he died during filming, which forced Michael Carreras to finish it. Despite the chaos, this film delivers an eerie atmosphere, just dripping with Hammer's trademark color and their gloom. Leon commands the screen, giving this dual performance that makes the film just feel far classier than it should be. It's uneven, yet fascinating. It's one of the most unique mummy films probably ever made. Hammer fans absolutely adore it for the ambition, and us cult fans, we love it for the chaos.
No, it happened. You have to help me. You know its power. I have no mind left, no will. I'll face you. I won't run.
All right, this is Hammer's third mummy film, and it doesn't have the star power of like Lee or Cushing, but it does bring plenty of atmosphere. The story follows yet another group of archaeologists who ignore the giant "don't open the tomb" signs and unleash a mummy on themselves. What makes it stand out is it's just such a bleak movie. The kills are super vicious. I mean, like, there's this one poor guy who gets his head smashed into a wall, and the mummy itself, it's ragged and very unsettling. The film feels like a funeral march. You're just drenched in Hammer's signature color and grime sets. It may not reinvent the wheel here, but it's a solid slice of gothic horror that captures Hammer at its mid-60s moodiest.
Excuse me, Alan.
Here's another Hammer film which followed up The Blood-Soaked Mummy from 1959 with a more pulp-driven sequel. And they decided to lean less on the gothic grandeur and more on the drive-in thrills. So this time, it's about a greedy showman who hauls an Egyptian mummy back to London to cash in on ticket sales. Naturally, the banged-up brute wakes up and starts strangling his way through the city. I mean, it's not as polished as Hammer's other classics. No Lee, no Cushing. But what it lacks in pedigree, it makes up with campy energy. This mummy, he's bulkier, he's meaner, and the kills are nastier than Universal ever dared. The London setting gives it that foggy vibe, while the greedy showbiz subplot, it adds a layer of sleazy fun. Critics dismissed it as formulaic, but for cult fans, well, that's just the charm, right? It's the kind of movie that feels right at home in late-night October marathons. Not classy, but entertaining from sarcophagus to credits. All right, here we are. Hammer's original version of The Mummy. It's everything you'd expect from the studio that turned Dracula and Frankenstein into Technicolor nightmares. Christopher Lee dons the bandages as Karas, and unlike Karloff's haunting stillness, Lee's mummy is just pure rage. I mean, he doesn't creep around, he charges. He's just smashing doors, strangling victims, and throwing his enormous frame around like a bandaged juggernaut. Peter Cushing is on the other side, bringing his usual aristocratic intelligence and stiff upper lip grip to the role of the archaeologist who dares to desecrate the sacred tombs. Terence Fisher directs with all the gothic flourish you'd ever want. You know, swampy landscapes, crumbling temples, and just these lurid colors dripping with doom. Audiences in 1959 were shocked by the violence, and that's exactly why horror fans adore this one today. It may borrow heavily from Universal's sequels, but Hammer's take adds blood, thunder, and operatic atmosphere. For many fans, this here is the definitive Mummy movie.
Are you all right?
While everybody might say that the Hammer film was his definitive one, this here, it's the crown jewel. Universal's original Mummy, directed by Karl Freund, it isn't about action or gore. It's all about the atmosphere. Boris Karloff plays Imhotep, resurrected after thousands of years, who disguises himself as Ardath Bey while searching for his lost love. He's terrifying, yeah, right? But also tragic, because this is a monster fueled as much by romance as revenge.
Have we not met before, Miss Grosvenor?
No, I don't think so. I don't think one would forget meeting you, Ardath Bey.
Then I am mistaken. But you are of our blood.
Freund, who had worked out as a cinematographer on Metropolis and Dracula, he brings this haunting stillness to every frame. The makeup by Jag Pierce is just legendary. Karloff's desiccated face, sunken eyes, and stiff movements, they remain iconic like 90 years later. It's slow by modern standards, but it's also unforgettable. The whisper of the curses, the weight of eternity, the way Karloff stares like he's just boring into your soul, it all cemented the Mummy as a horror icon. Every Mummy movie since has lived in this shadow. For spooky season, this is required viewing.
Do not be afraid.
I was afraid. When you were kneeling beside my bed, a veil came over my eyes. Darkness.
Your last memory is of me in the hour of your death as I knelt by your bed 3,700 years ago.
You know, the beauty of the Mummy movies is that it's adaptable. You know, it was tragic in the 30s, savage in the 50s and 60s, and sleazy in the 70s, and just plain weird every year after. That's what spooky season is all about. Digging through the dusty crypt of cinema history and finding treasures wrapped in gauze and dripping with atmosphere. I want you to stick around, right? Because we've got some werewolves coming, maybe a few slashers or two, and a few surprises left in the vault for this October. So until then, keep it weird, folks.
You need